Hi there, hope you're having a pleasant day wherever you may be. I'm at a place where I probably should have rethought my hat choice. I'm at what's left of Owens Lake. Owens Lake is a pretty much dry lake bed that sits just east of the Sierra Nevada mountain ranges between the towns of Olancha and Lone Pine and can be seen pretty well from US 395. Speaking of US 395, I briefly touch on the subject on my California 395 video if you'd like to take a look at that, but what do you say we get back to this one? Historically, Owens Lake was always a very large lake. It sits in this basin and range section of California where a lot of other lakes formed, like Searless Lake that created the Trona Pinnacles and Lake Manly that created Death Valley. It's fed from glacial snowmelt and it stayed that way for thousands of years. It fluctuated in size from time to time, but overall it stayed a very large lake. But like most stories involving Mother Nature, man got involved. In the 1800s, agriculture became a growing industry in the Owens Valley, and subsequently it started to affect the level of Owens Lake. It began to drop. However, that was merely a sign of things to come because in the early 1900s, Los Angeles was on the rise and Los Angeles was getting thirsty. Enter William Mulholland. He was the engineer behind what was colloquially known as the California Water Wars. He secured the rights to the water to Owens Valley in some somewhat underhanded methods and eventually diverted Owens River, which was feeding Owens Lake, to the city of Los Angeles via the California Aqueduct. Shortly thereafter, the lake dried up and so did the agricultural industry in Owens Valley. However, that was just part of the problem. Another major problem, this. All this land that was once underwater was now exposed to the arid climate, creating a bunch of dust and debris that would get kicked up frequently, creating huge dust storms in the area. In nearby Manzanar during the 1940s, the Japanese Americans living in the poorly built internment camps said that the dust storms were so bad that when they were indoors, so much dust got inside that they might as well have just been outside. So it seems like decades and decades after creating the problem in the first place, it looks like the city of Los Angeles stepped up to the plate around 2001 with the Owens Lake Dust Mitigation Project. And that's where I'm at right now. So what it looks like is they saw the problem, which is that Owens Valley is the largest producer of dust pollution in the country, I believe is what it was. And they decided to implement the dust mitigation process. And then they decided, hey, let's put some trails around to showcase what we're trying to do to fix this problem. So it's sort of like taking lemons and kind of making lemon water, I guess, because yeah, it's kind of cool that you get to see the process up close. You can see that they're trying to do something, but it's like you created the problem. So, and it's hard for me to really complain because, yeah. Now, there are a handful of ways that they go about mitigating the dust. One of them is shallow flooding. Now, this was a pretty wet winter, so I'm guessing this is probably more water than there usually is, but that's one method. Another is vegetation that they manage. Another one is gravel. And then another one is they call tillage, which I'm guessing is just kind of plowing up the dirt that's there. To visit this dust mitigation project here at Owens Lake, you have three options. The first one is the one I stumbled onto right off the 136. I thought it was pretty straightforward, short drive off the main road. You saw it had a couple different trails, got a good idea of what's going on. The second and third ones I didn't like as much. You had to drive a lot further off the road. They weren't signed very well, and you almost felt like you were driving through like a construction area, like you weren't supposed to be there. So if I were to do this again, I'd probably skip the other two. One was off the 190, one was off the 395. Stick with the one off the 136, you'll get your fill. Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for joining me on this trip to Owens Lake, or what's left of it, I guess. And I hope you had a good time learning a little bit about what's going on in terms of the dust and a little bit of the history as well. I actually had no idea that any of this trail system existed. I was just driving down the road. I saw a kiosk, slammed on my brakes. Luckily, nobody was behind me. And I was pleasantly surprised. So I figured, hey, let's make a little video out of it. So with that said, I hope you had a good time, and I guess I'll see you on the next one. I feel like the bench situation is just a tad overly ambitious here. There's 3 here. There's 6 more over there. For something that doesn't even have a sign on the major road, how many people do they expect to come here? especially all at once. And they all want to sit down. I don't get it.